y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shayla. I'm just a mommy, a woman on a mission to lose at least 100 pounds. I've been documenting every single week of my journey in a series known as Discipline Diaries. You can catch that on my channel and catch up from week 1 all the way on to now. We are working towards goals. We're getting there bit by bit and piece by piece through discipline, determination, consistency, and Jesus Christ. Amen. But another part of my life is that I love to read. I love reading. So far this year, I've read 24 books. Let me make sure that's right. Let me not tell a lie. Reading challenge. Okay, yes. I've read 24 books so far this year, and I wanted to bring you into my week this week because we have some good reads lined up. I'm excited for some of these reads. I've already started some of these reads, just finished other reads, and I want to take you with me. Today, I'm at the library right now. I'm going to go return a bunch of books, some for me and some for my daughter, and then I'm also going to go to another library to return those books and get some work done, get some reading done while I have some time. For the library I'm at right now, I'm going to go ahead and return By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. I DNF'd it. I did not end up wanting to read it. I did the audio for a little bit in the gym, and it's just not a story I'm interested in right now. Nothing wrong with it. I'm new to romance. I'm not a romance girly typically, so I wasn't hooked. I wasn't interested, and I went ahead and DNF'd. We're giving this back to the library today. At the end of this video, I will go ahead and do a full March reading wrap-up, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going to talk about the book club that I'm starting for the girlies who want to read with me, and we can all come together, have live meetings and things like that. Catch the end of the video to make sure you're tuned in for that. Yesterday, I finished Though I Stumble by Kim Cash Tate. This is a Christian fiction book, my first one by Kim Cash Tate, and she is well known in the Christian fiction world. I enjoyed this. I rated it a 4 stars. This book is a part of her series known as Promises of God. Though I Stumble is the first one. The cover says 4 women, 1 weekend, and their lives will never be the same. It's about 4 women all going to a Christian conference. They were all going through different things in their lives. Some married, some unexpected pregnancy, some widowed, contemplating divorce. There were so many situations going on, and they all went to this conference to just, get filled. They've been, attending Bible studies that were related to the conference, and they finally had the opportunity to go that weekend. It shared the storyline of each of their lives and what they were struggling with, how God was showing up for them, how they were dealing with their emotions in real time. It's just a very realistic look of what our walk with God can look like. Life is gonna life. Being Christian, have a relationship with God does not remove you from the ability to go through life. Everyone has situations, but this book touched on the promises of God. He promises to be with us in those situations and carry us along the way. So I enjoyed hearing everyone's story. I would consider this like a pilot to the actual TV series. I'm definitely going to read the entire series because it was a good read. Being someone who's into psych thrillers regularly, I have to shift my mind whenever I read books like this and think of books like these are not always stay on the edge of your seat, page turners. I can't wait to finish it. I need to know what happens. I'm used to chasing a plot twist of oh my gosh, what's going on? Putting my mindset into books like this, especially with Christian fiction and also romance books, having to realize, hey girl, it's not going to be a big plot twist where you're like, oh, what's happening? It's just going to be a casual read sometimes. So we finished this yesterday, and I started 2 books yesterday as well. I usually have 2 books going on at a time, a thriller and a romance lately. I'm new to romance. I started reading romance a couple weeks ago. I like a clean, closed door or minimal to no spice. That's my preference, but I'm trying to find, what I like as far as romance books. I started Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I have the physical, and I also have this one on my Kindle as well. I'm only on chapter 3, which is page 21. We're not that far into it. Let's read the back of it really quickly. Her dream apartment, her worst nightmare. After responding to a mysterious newspaper advertisement, Jules Larson gets a job as an apartment sitter at the Bartholomew, one of Manhattan's most famous and secretive buildings. At first, the extravagance of the Bartholomew feels like a lucky break for recently heartbroken and penniless Jules, who has been haunted by misfortune for most of her life. But when a fellow apartment sitter in the building goes missing, Jules begins to suspect there are dark forces at work behind the Bartholomew's glamorous facade. Digging deeper into the building's past, Jules soon realized that the Bartholomew is more dangerous than she thought, and that escape may be impossible. So far, they're just, building up how she ended up with the job. She's going through job interviews right now. She got the job. She's excited for it. Nothing's really happened so far, but I'm really excited to read this. I've heard a lot of good things about this. I've read one other Riley Sager book. I was not a huge fan, but I'm gonna give him a fair shot. I don't write off any author when I read one bad book, the same way I wouldn't do that with any artist that I'm listening to. They might have a bad song, bad album. I'm not gonna write them off completely. So I think it was House Across the Lake. I was not a big fan of that one, but I have several other of his books on my TBR that I plan to read, so we're gonna read this one this week. My camera just overheated and shut off, so you might hear the air now. I have it up a little bit. Yesterday, I started the audio for Sweet Little Hearts by Shanora Williams. I I've read a lot of her books. I've read all of her thriller books. I tried to read the first one of this series, which is called Beautiful Broken Love. I DNF'd at about 40% or so. It wasn't the romance story I was looking for, so I went ahead and DNF'd. I would not write that book off. Most people I know love that book down. It was my first romance book I've ever read, so I wasn't interested in the storyline right away. So I went ahead and DNF'd. I would go back and read it. Now, this one is a spinoff, and they can be standalone. She even mentioned it in the beginning of this book that you don't have to read the other one to read this one. It's the sister of the main character in the first one. But if you want a little more background, you can read that one. I will say, I am loving this book right off the bat. Right off the bat, I'm loving this book. I'm so happy I started this and didn't just write off this, what I thought was a series, because I didn't like the first one. This one, I'm loving the storyline. Let me read the description really quickly. From New York Times bestselling author Shonora Williams comes a deeply heartfelt romance about the tragedies that put our lives on hold and the love that makes us want to start again. Javier Valdez hasn't had luck with nannies, and he can't imagine this one will be any different. Octavia Klein is all sass to his stoicism, free spirit to his hard work, but he's a widower, and with a career in the NBA, he can't keep doing this alone. Despite Javier's reservations, Octavia turns out to be the best thing for his 4-year-old daughter, and for him, but he's reluctant to admit it. Javier swore off love after his wife died, and Octavia has her own reasons for avoiding relationships. As their bond deepens far past professionalism or even friendship, it's hard to deny the crackling tension of something more. Been towing lines they said they wouldn't cross, and when their past comes rushing back, there's no telling which way they'll fall. With old wounds reopened, can Javier and Octavia overcome the pain once again, or will their future together become just another scar? I have been loving this book so far. I love the storyline. I'm only on page 33, 14% in. This one thankfully comes on Kindle Unlimited, and it comes with the audio attached to it. So I started this in the car yesterday, listened to it for a little bit. I love the audio. He's a Hispanic man, she's a Black woman. I love this dynamic. Single dad, his wife died. Octavia is an amazing nanny. Her daughter absolutely loves her. Went through so many nannies because he can be pretty difficult to deal with, but it just stems from him wanting to provide the best life for his daughter, now being a widower and having an NBA career that pulls him away from the home a lot. Octavia is not playing any of that. She's not going to be treated like the rest of these nannies. She's here to stay, and she's making it known that, hey, we're not going to do that. We're just getting started in this book, but so far, I love it. I can't wait to see where this goes. Right now, I did pick up a little lunch because I left the house and did not make anything. I told you I'm on a fitness journey, but we needed to get a little something. So I never had these before, but I went to Whataburger. It was the closest thing to where I'm at. Got the honey barbecue wings. I looked it up already. They're listed as 630 calories, 45 grams of protein. So we're fitting this into our deficit today. Before I go in and return these books and get to reading and working, I need to edit, and I'm going to read. I'm going to go ahead and eat these up. Yeah, while I listen and read to Sweet Little Hearts for just about 15-20 minutes. Thankfully, Sweet Little Hearts was here. I went ahead and checked it out. It looks fresh and brand new, and it was in their new book section, so yes. I've read all of her thrillers, which they're all listed here. The Perfect Ruin, right here. The Wife Before, that was the first book I read when I started reading again back in December 2024. First book I read, hooked me. The Other Mistress, The Bitter Truth, and Whispers of the Lake. I rated this one, Perfect Ruin, a 3-star. It was decent. I'd recommend you read it for yourself. It just wasn't as exciting or thrilling for me as I would like. It took a long time to get to the quote-unquote perfect ruin and figuring out what's the backstory as far as why does she want to ruin this lady's life? What is going on here? What did the lady do to her? And it did have some plot twists. It did have plot twists that I did not guess, but I don't know, it didn't hook me as much as usual, but it was still a good read. 3 for me means, let me break down my scale. 3 for me means I would recommend read it for yourself. 4 is this was a good book. You should read this one. I liked it. 5 is I love this book down. You need to read it ASAP. I wish I could read it again for the first time. That's my rating scale. Anything 2 or less, at your own risk. So I'll rate this a 3. Good book. Recommend you read it for yourself. See how you like it. Yeah. Okay. So I just read a little bit of this in the library, and I wanted to bring something up, a little talking point. I read the description earlier. She's going to apartment sit basically for a scary apartment that has an interesting, scary kind of rep to it. It has gargoyles outside. It's just creepy. It's a little creepy. For the 3 months that she'll be there, she gets $12,000. $12,000 for 3 months of just apartment sitting, keeping up the house, chilling. Would you do it? Knowing the apartment has a scary, creepy background. Person who was in the apartment before her apparently died. And it's just a little, you're not getting the right vibe to it, but would you do it for the money? Let me read you something she said in here. This is not a spoiler. It's not a really big spoiler. It's nothing surprising, nothing. But she was telling her friend, like, what she was considering doing. Like, hey, I'm going to sit for this apartment. Of course, her friend knows the rep that place has. So she was like, are you sure? And she said, because here's the thing about being poor. Most people don't understand it unless they've been there themselves. They don't know what a fragile balancing act it is to stay afloat, and that if, God forbid, you momentarily slip underwater, how hard it is to resurface. They've never written a check with trembling hands, praying they'll have enough to cover it in their account. They never waited for their paycheck to be directly deposited at the stroke of midnight because their wallet is empty and their credit cards are maxed out and they desperately need to pay for gas and food and a prescription they've gone unfilled for an entire week. They never had their credit card declined at a grocery store, a restaurant, or Walmart, all while enduring the side eye from an annoyed cashier who silently judges them. There's another thing most people don't understand: how quick others are to judge and make assumptions and presume your financial predicament is the result of stupidity, laziness, years of bad choices. They don't know how expensive it is to bury both of your parents before the age of 20. They don't know what it's like to sit in a weeping pile of financial statements showing how much debt you've accrued over the years, to be told that all your insurance and policies are voided, to go back to college, shouldering the cost yourself with the help of financial aid, 2 jobs, and student loans that won't be paid off until you're 40, to graduate and enter the job market with a lit degree only to be told you're either overqualified or underqualified for every position you apply for. People don't want to think about that life, so they don't. They're getting by just fine and therefore can't comprehend why you're not capable of doing the same. Meanwhile, you're left all alone to deal with the humiliation and the fear and the worry. God, the worry, it's always there. Yeah. Just real quick, I picked up one new book, The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Same author of the book I just returned at the other library that I DNF'd by the book, but I'm open. I skimmed the description. I don't know how much spice it is, closed door. I don't know anything about this book as far as that. I did not do any research. I just saw it. I looked up the series to see which one was the first one. It said this, so we got it. Getting a book and reading a book are two different things for me. I get books all the time for the library. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I turn them back in. So we will see. To be continued. on chapter 34. We're at page 200. Last night I read more while I was folding clothes, and I'm gonna just say this. Well, I was listening to the audio and I had my Kindle in front of me as well. I'm gonna say hearing the audio for the raunchy scenes is a no, thank you. I was cringing so bad because I'm thinking of the fact that this person narrating the story is literally having to make all these noises, and it was just weirding me out. I skipped past it, I had to go back to reading it, because reading it with my own eyes where I'm just skimming like I don't care, versus hearing all that going on, I'm like, this is so cringy. It's so cringy. The audio was too much. And just think about the fact that folks be out here at work typing on the computer and that's what's going on in their ears. It's crazy. If I was reading those scenes, it would have been nothing because, again, I'd be skimming and it just don't give that. But listening to it was a different experience, and I would like to know thank you. I would like to know thank you. But outside of that, I love this storyline. I like the elements of their own like past experiences, their traumas they have, and slowly breaking down the walls between each other to be vulnerable and share and expose what their traumas are and why they respond the way they do, why they act the way they do, because they both have their own stories. And I'm enjoying that. I'm going to finish this today. That's my goal, to finish this today. And then I'm going to get back to reading Lock Every Door, try to wrap that up by Wednesday. And we're going to do it like that. But I'm happy I decided to read this, even though I didn't read the first one. I'm very happy I decided to read it because I like it. He's very careful in trying to be very aware of her as a woman. He's very patient with her and understanding. It's almost giving trauma informed. If you know what that is, shout out to you. It sounds like he's approaching her with a trauma informed type of understanding that, yeah, when she announced, like when she communicated her triggers or her boundaries, he was very much like, oh, absolutely, like, yes, I will do whatever I can to make sure that doesn't make you uncomfortable, or I don't do anything that could trigger you in that manner. I'm really enjoying this story. It's a little raunchier than I would like, but I knew what I was going into knowing that it's Shannara. Miss Shannara, I will not be reading any of her other romance books. This is the only one. But I have read all her thrillers, like I said before. I'm currently on a lunch break. I read on my lunch breaks a lot. First 30 minutes, I went ahead and meal prepped. Now I'm reading, and then we're going to get back to work and listen to the audio. This is going to be quick. I came into my room so I can go ahead and give you a review of Sweet Little Hearts. I finished it yesterday. My daughter's playing right now. I have a 3-year-old. I finished Sweet Little Hearts yesterday, and I rated it a 3.5 star. I was pushing for 4, but I landed at 3.5. I think the plot, the storyline was really good. I like the trope, I guess you could say, of this book. Javier, who's a single dad, and then Octavia is his nanny. I enjoyed the overall storyline. I enjoyed that they each had a background, a past that impacted the way they see relationships and people now. I really did enjoy that. A little more raunchy than I would like, and I knew that going into it because it's Shannara Williams. And if you know Shannara gets down when it comes to a book. The scenes were so long at that. I guess I'm used to reading thrillers where if there is a scene, it's like quick. It's over and done. It's not drawn out. I feel like this being a romance book, it was long. Just when you think it's over, it continues, which if that's your thing, cool. But for me personally, I don't really look for that in romance books. I just like for wholesome romance, love stories, a scene or two, cool, but not the whole focus of the story. I'm learning that my idea of romances that I like is as long as there is a good plot involved, I don't mind it if it's not the only part of the story. Like that's just all the entire book. And this definitely wasn't that. It was a really beautiful story. I would definitely recommend this book. I certainly would. I would recommend, especially if you're a romance reader, you need to read this book. Again, this is the second one of this series. The first one is Beautiful Broken Love, but it's not, you don't have to read the first one to read the second. I mean, she even said it in the beginning of this book. I feel like I was able to grasp this story just fine without having read the first one. Again, I did read a little bit of the first one. I DNF'd, I think, at 50%. But I don't think it was essential in me understanding this story at all. Her sister and her brother-in-law are in this book, but knowing the background story of the sister and brother-in-law is not essential to understanding this story. This is their love story, so you don't need to know how the sister and brother-in-law got together in order to understand this one. If you are a romance reader and this sounds like it's up your alley, Read it for yourself, child. It was good. It was really good. I finished it yesterday. I want to say on my lunch break. And I've been waiting to talk about it till today. I'm actually about to go eat dinner, and I'm going to start Lock Every Door today. Not start it. I'm going to continue Lock Every Door. I already started. I'm like 30 pages in or so. But I'm going to go ahead and get back to reading that. I have it on my Kindle, and I have the physical book. While I'm eating, I'm going to read it on my Kindle because it's easier to just, eat and tap. Hey y'all, it's a few days later. I wanted to stop by this used bookstore, and cute vibe. I would definitely come in here if I wanted to sit down at the tables and chill, read or study or something, but not the books I'm looking for. I have a lot of old books. Nothing's wrong with old books, but none of those really sparked my interest, especially when it came to thrillers. The mystery and thriller section was a whole lot of James Patterson, the books my grandma had on her shelf. Cute vibe, but it wasn't books that I'm interested in buying or reading, so I didn't end up getting any, but that's okay. I enjoy just the environment of bookstores, libraries. Even if I didn't buy anything, I just like being in there. I was almost going to buy Charlie Donnelly's books because they had two of the books that are on my TBR, which were Charlie Donnelly's 20 Years Later, and then she was taken. I forgot what the girl who was taken, something like that. But both of those are books I plan to read anyway, but they're on Kindle Unlimited. That's the main thing for me when it comes to going to bookstores. I get excited oh, I found this book. But I'm gonna check if it's on Kindle Unlimited first. First I'm oh, I want to get at least one thing out of here, but it's no, that's just pointless when my whole goal is to make sure that reading is not an expensive hobby for me. I read way too many books to be buying all of them. I forgot how many books I've read this year, but it's in the mid-20s. If I would have bought all those books, you can just add that up and see how much that would cost if I paid for all the books I've read so far just this year. And we're only in the 3rd month. That's a lot of money. We can talk now. So, Lock Every Door. I finally finished Lock Every Door last night. And I'm just gonna say, I was disappointed a little bit. I was a little disappointed, and this might be one of the lowest books I've rated, which might be a shocker if you love that book. But I rated it 2.5. Because one, it was pretty slow, but I was able to overlook that because it felt like we were solving the mystery or the situation with the main character. So it was interesting. I was enjoying it. It just kept going further and further, and I'm like, girl, all these signs, all these red flags, all these things happening, and you're just nope, I need the money. Which, granted, we had this conversation earlier in this video. I understand, when you're down and out, you increase the amount of things you're willing to do in order to make said money. But it's just too much going on for you to still be at this building. You're literally compromising your safety, your intuition, your discernment, and all that for the sake of a check. But it's also I understand why she needed it. But that was one thing that was irritating me. Now, I did catch on to one little factor in the whole mystery, because all the people that were apartment sitters had something in common. And I recognized that based on the questioning that was done in their interview for becoming apartment sitters. I caught on to the question that I kept seeing asked. I'm oh, okay, that might have something to do with something. The element of the twist wasn't what it was. I would have rated this book a 3. But the twist, I wasn't a fan of finding out what actually was going on. I don't know if this is just his style of writing, because this is my second Riley Sager book, and the first one that I read, this is the same thing I didn't like about that one. Because it wasn't giving that all throughout the book, and then it turned into it at the end. And I read House Across the Lake, and that one threw me for a complete loop. When it got to the end, I'm there was no foreshadowing of this scenario going on, but this is the answer to what's been happening. I don't know if all his books are like that. It has that type of element in it. But I'm like, it wasn't given this. I'm still not done with Riley Sager, child. I'm still not done because there are other his books that I want to read. I want to read Final Girls. So I'm still going to get and read Final Girls. And the more I read, I will know if he's just not my style or what. So I'm still going to read that book. Yes, I will. And then, now if I read another one of his and I'm just like, oh, I don't like this either, I'm going to hang up the towel. But I like to give any author that I read a fair shot before I'm like, yeah, they're not for me. Because I did enjoy the story up until the twist part. That's just my opinion on it. Read it for yourself. And if you have read it, let me know. Did you like it? What are your thoughts on it? Things like that. Today, I'm starting The Landlord by Brandon Massey. Another psychological thriller. I don't know if I'm in a theme of housing situations because this one was just apartment sitting. Now this one is called The Landlord. What am I doing? I'm excited to read that one. It is a black male author. I feel like I don't read a lot of males in general. I'm going to Half Price Bookstore tomorrow, and then I'm going back to the library. So we might have some new pickups then. We shall see. But I'm putting myself on a $15 to $20 budget. Yeah. All right. I'm about to get in the shower, but let's talk about The Landlord. Let's see what it's about. Because if we're being quite honest, I have not read the description of this. My TBR because I knew it was a thriller written by a black author, and I specifically try to seek those out because I feel like they're less common than any other genre. As far as romance, historical fiction, you can find those all day. But a black thriller, I feel like it's hard for me to find them sometimes. It says, he owns your house. When Cam and Desiree Woodson find the luxurious rental home in a quiet suburban Atlanta neighborhood, they believe they've discovered the perfect place for their growing young family and for their tight budget. The price is too good to be true. But what starts as a bargain soon turns into a nightmare when the landlord's unusual lease terms become more suffocating than they ever imagined. He owns your family. A struggling writer, desperate to make ends meet, Cam is lured into a dangerous deal by the landlord, offering more lenient terms and great money in exchange for shady favors. But when things spiral out of control, Cam and Desiree find themselves trapped in a chilling web of lies, blackmail, and violence. He owns you. As tensions rise and danger looms, the Woodsons must fight to keep their family safe from the landlord's tightening grip. Will they unravel the sinister truth behind the landlord and escape, or will they become his latest victims in a twisted game of life and death? I am excited. That sounds so good. He has several books. If I like this one, I will be reading more. Absolutely. I'm going to the gym late tonight. Maybe I'll get into it before then or after the gym when I get in bed to go to sleep. I'm doing a late night workout. I got energy. Before I even start talking, let me just say this. My reading vlogs will never give traditional sit down in the perfectly curated space to talk about books because it's not my life. I don't have perfectly curated reading times. I fit reading in whenever I can. As a busy mom, a single mom at that, I fit in my hobbies when I can. So my devices, my books, my Kindle are always in an area that's accessible at any time of day. So when I do have downtime, I can grab my Kindles already at the table with me, or it's in my gym bag whenever I leave the house. It's in my purse when I leave the house, because if I have downtime, whether I'm sitting out in the car waiting for someone or if I'm in the gym walking, I can pull it out and read. So I keep my Kindle with me at all times to make it, an easy thing to grab instead of scrolling on my phone. That's one of the ways I read so many books as a busy woman. I just keep it handy with me. I don't scroll on my phone more than 3 to 5 minutes whenever I do open up an app, and usually it's whenever my friends send me a TikTok. I get on TikTok, watch the one they sent me, and keep scrolling and forget to respond to them. But my scrolling literally caps out at 5, maybe 10 minutes max. I have broken that habit of doom scrolling months and months and months ago, and I thank God for that. The only thing I can spend a whole lot of time doing is watching YouTube videos. But those quick videos, scrolling, doom scrolling, dopamine hit, crying, happy, sad, crying, happy, laughing and kicking your feet, then you're sad, then you're crying, then you're laughing, ha ha ha, then it's like deep dive, drama, tea. All those quick hits, I no longer do that to myself for hours on end. But I'm going on tangent, but I'm just saying, this is what reading looks like for me realistically. At first thought on the treadmill was to go ahead and watch some YouTube, but then I said, well, let me get a couple pages in while I'm here, read a couple chapters and get my walk in at the same time. So it worked out. But that's what I do. That's what I do on a regular basis. I find times where I can fit in my hobbies because I enjoy reading. I want to make space for reading. You will not read books if you don't make space for it. It's like, oh, I can never find time. Yes, you can. You spend a whole lot of time on that phone. You spend a whole lot of time watching TV shows. If you wanted to read, you would read. I would not be reading any books if I didn't make the time for it. Swapped out some things and started reading more. Instead of picking up this to scroll every time you have downtime. Doctor's appointments, lunch breaks, bring it to work with you. You don't have to go sit in your car and watch TikTok while you eat your lunch in your car because you don't want to talk to your coworkers. Read a book. That's real. Going to your car because you don't want to be in the break room. Yeah, I remember those days. I'd rather just be in my car in silence so I can deal with the rest of these patients today. I don't want to talk and chit chat on break all the time. But yeah, find times to fit it in. If you want to read more books, find times to fit it into your life. And that's what it looks like for me. Sometimes I pick up a book and I can only read for 5 minutes. I can only read 3 pages. Other times I can pick it up and read it for an hour. Like, rant over. Let's talk about this book. So, I started reading The Landlord earlier when I was at home with my daughter. We were having a little calm time on the couch. She was watching TV with me. She fell asleep. I was reading while she was sleeping, and I got a good head start on it then. I just did immersive reading on the treadmill. I listened and read at the same time, so that was nice. I guess I didn't intentionally pick this theme for these last 2 books, but they are so on theme of too good to be true. Too good to be true. Both of these books I've read were housing related books, and the situation they were getting into were too good to be true. It was a couple getting into this new lease, and it was just way cheaper than they would imagine. They were like, wow, these prices are just good. We're getting a steal. Yes, yes. Too good to be true. They even had their friends come over and they were touring like, oh my gosh, your closet is huge, girl. If you don't mind me asking, what do you pay for this? And they told them, they were like, what? Too good to be true. There were a whole lot of red flags in them even getting to the signing of the lease portion. The person was rushing them like, oh, I got other people come and view it. You better make your decision now so you can go ahead and lock it in. It was red flag number 1. And then within the lease, there were other extra things added that aren't typically in a lease. And I'm like, red flag number 2. And then y'all signed it. And there was a whole lot more after that. Another theme of this book, and Lock Every Door, is how far would you go as far as compromising your morals when money is involved? Compromising your morals, your beliefs, your values for the sake of some money. And that's what the husband is experiencing right now, because he's working for the landlord, doing some jobs for him, and in there for so long. I was in there so long. I was taking my sweet time. I got these 3 books for $10.27 because 2 of them were on sale for $2. I went to the clearance section and got 2 books out of clearance, and the other book was only $5. So yeah, we spent $10 today. That's what my budget was $15, $20. So hey, $10? Yes, ma'am. First up, we have Good Intentions by Kasim Ali. What would you give up for the perfect person? And this was one of the ones that was $2. Let's read this one quickly. In the wake of her first heartbreak, Nur somehow meets his perfect woman. Yasmina is bright, beautiful, and what's most remarkable, she's into him too. Before long, they are inseparable, but no relationship is perfect. For Yasmina, the complexities of family and cultural expectations are something she wants to navigate with Nur by her side. For Nur, the pressures of being the good son are suffocating and soon threaten everything he wants for a future with Yasmina. Can he find a way to offer her everything she deserves? And I picked it up because I saw the woman is a black woman. And then I can't tell off the cover, but I know he has a flavor to him. He got a flavor. And she's a black woman. You know, I'm just something about black women. I'm going to pick it up every time. I will. And then when I looked it up on Goodreads, it gave a better description. Way better. Like, this was very basic. It didn't tell you much about what's actually going to go on in the book. This is this author, Kasim Ali's debut, Good Intentions, a novel about a young man who has hidden a romance from his parents, unable to choose between familiar obligations and the future he truly wants. If love really is a choice, how do you decide where the loyalties lie? It's the countdown to midnight on New Year's Eve, and Nur is steeling himself to tell his parents that he's seeing someone. A young British Pakistani man, Nur has spent years omitting details about his personal life to maintain his image as the golden eldest child, and it comes at a cost. Once, Nur was a restless and insecure college student struggling to present himself after being transplanted from his hometown with only the vaguest sense of ambition. At a packed house party, he meets Yasmina, a beautiful and self-possessed aspiring journalist. They start a conversation, first awkward, then absorbing, that grabs Nur's attention like never before. And as their relationship develops, moving from libraries to cramped coffee shops to apartment they share together, so too does Nur's self-destruction. He falls deeper into traps of his own making, attempting to please both Yasmina and his family until he no longer has a choice. Finally be honest and reveal to those who raised him the truth he's kept hidden. Yasmina is black and he loves her. Deftly transporting readers between the first night and the years beyond, Good Intentions exposes the unblinking authenticity, the complexities of immigrant families, and racial prejudice. It is a crackly, wryly clever depiction of standing on the precipice of adulthood, attempting to piece together who it is you're meant to be. That gave way more color to the story than just this. I was like, it's $2. I'm going to get it regardless, whether I end up liking it or not. It's $2. Hello? $2. Then we have The Other Black Girl. This was also $2, and it's a hardcover. I've seen this book so many times. I had it on my list at one point. I took it off for some reason, but when I saw the cover, I instantly recognized it. I said, let me go ahead and get it. It's $2. Again, it's $2. This one is on Kindle Unlimited, but again, it's $2. So I said, for a hardcover book, sign me up. Like, this on my bookshelf? Oh, yes. I was willing to spend $2 to put this on my bookshelf. 26-year-old editorial assistant Nella Rogers is pretty tired of being the only black girl in Wagner books, so of course she's excited when Hazel Mae McCall starts working in the cubicle beside hers. Born and raised in Harlem, Hazel exudes the confidence and charm that Nella has never quite possessed, but they've only just started swapping emails and natural hair care regimens when a string of unsettling events causes Nella to become public enemy number one and Hazel the office darling. And then the notes start to appear on Nella's desk. Leave Wagner now. Nella can't believe that Hazel's been leaving the notes. Despite her crude code switching and competitive vibes, the new black girl doesn't seem that hostile. But as Nella begins to spiral, obsess, and ultimately uncover the sinister forces at play, she risks losing much more than her career. The stakes are higher than she could ever imagine, far beyond P&Ls and promotions. Propulsive, darkly funny, and endlessly surprising, The Other Black Girl is a whip-smart commentary on diversity in the workplace. It brims with the cringy, all-too-real struggles of being a black woman in a largely white industry, but also resonating with anyone who's ever felt manipulated, outmaneuvered, threatened, or overlooked. As disturbing as it is tender, this is a novel that questions the silence we trade for success and asks, in the end, whether the sacrifice can ever truly be worth it. This one does have mixed reviews, but I am interested to read it for myself. And then lastly, we have this one, And So It Begins by Rachel Abbott. When I met Mark, I knew I had to make him mine. Thoughtful and sensitive, Mark lived in the most breathtaking house I'd ever seen, all glass and perched on the clifftop, with mesmerizing views across the waves below. It was where his first wife had died tragically, but it would be our promising new start. When our gorgeous daughter Lulu was born, our perfect life was complete, but then I started having accidents at home. A broken hand, a black eye. Mark's sister thought I was doing it for attention, but she had no idea how scared I was of who I had become. If I told you what my life with Mark had turned into, I doubt you would believe me. But I need you to listen because you're the only hope Lulu and I have left. And if I can make you see the truth, there may be a chance I can save my precious daughter. A book so twisted you won't be able to put it down. 3 pickups for $10. Yes, ma'am. Barnes & Noble because I plan to, you know, find a cozy seat, sit down, read. Barnes & Noble was not giving that at all. First of all, there was like no chairs. I've never seen a setup like that ever. It's set up like a maze. So like all the sections are just very, it gives a maze. Like you can get lost in there. It's only seating they have is at the Starbucks area, which is just like tables and chairs. There's no like other type of chairs to sit in, like a cozy cushion chair, just the wooden tables and chairs. I'm like, well, I haven't been to Barnes & Nobles in years. I want to say probably 2 years. I can last remember going 2023. Yep, fall of 2023. So going on 3 years last time I've been in any Barnes & Noble. So never been to this location, so it's definitely set up differently. I will certainly start going more often solely because I see a lot of books here that I don't usually see in the library. It's good for me to come and see what's out, what's new, what's here, and then looking at it on Kindle or somewhere else to find it or seeing if it is in my library. Shayla.
Sorry about the wait.
No worries. And the groceries are here. So I misspoke earlier. I'm 51% in. I can definitely finish this tonight because I'm making time to read. I read pretty fast. Thank you. And that's, we get it in when we can. No scrolling needed. Okay, so first, my bedding is stripped. Everything's piled in that chair. I'm doing laundry, so it looks crazy back here, but we keep it real on this channel. Anyways, I finished The Landlord this morning. I want to give my honest opinions on it. I rated it a 3.5. It was a quick, easy read, a fast-paced thriller. Sometimes I really like a suspended from reality, far-fetched type of thriller, and that's what this gave. This felt like a good palate cleanser for me. It was quick. It wasn't too complex. So throughout the book, they never met the landlord and didn't know who it was. I definitely didn't suspect or guess who it was whenever they finally revealed that. The ending was kind of rushed. It felt like the ending was so fast paced. You know when you watch a movie and you check the time to see like, how do you wrap this movie up in 12 minutes? That's how this book felt. At least twice I checked the page number to be like, how are they gonna finish this story in 20 pages? It showed in the way they wrapped it up so quickly. I feel like the ending scenes were ran through kind of fast, but I still enjoyed the story. I like a quick popcorn thriller sometimes, and this is what this gives for Brandon Massey's books. If they're all like this, will probably be my new palette cleansers because I see he has a lot of them. I will certainly read more of his books over the next couple of months because it was enough to keep me engaged with reading it, and yeah. That's my opinions on The Landlord by Brandon Massey. Now, let's talk about something exciting. I am starting a book club. Whoop, 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 whoop. Shout out to Felicia for requesting a book club, and all the ladies who liked the comment lets me know you guys want a book club as well. It's gonna be a small, intimate thing. By the time you're watching this, my YouTube memberships are now open. It's set at $1. I'm not doing nothing crazy. It's not for the money grab. It's just so it can be an exclusive and closed community where no one can just jump in, join Zoom calls, vote in the polls but not participate. YouTube memberships are open for the book club only. This will not be for fitness related content. I might do fitness stuff later down the line, more exclusive content later down the line, but right here is just for book club purposes. So if you're interested in joining the book club, join my membership. My plan right now is every single month I will make a post where everybody drops a recommendation, and then I will put some of them into a poll. We'll vote on the poll, and then we'll have time to go ahead and get the book, read the book. Then we will schedule a live Zoom call that'll also be voted on as far as the date and time of that. Schedule a live Zoom call and meet regularly. But I want us all to be live, all to be able to talk, that kind of situation. Not me just talking to you and you chatting about the book. No, that's not a book club. That's a lecture. That's class. So I thought the best thing would be to use Zoom, where we all get a link, join there for our scheduled time, all get up on camera, talk to each other, chit chat, see each other's faces, talk and get to really discuss the book and just have community. If you're looking for that kind of community of ladies and gentlemen, if in here, hey, who want to read books together and talk about them on a monthly basis, go ahead and join the membership, and we're gonna start that soon. Yeah, I'm excited. I love reading. I love talking about books. That's why I love filming these reading vlogs so much. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I'm ready to actually see some of y'all's faces and talk live together about a good book. Maybe we can do something cute and be like, hey, everybody get your little protein drinks and let's talk about books. I'm just kidding. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if I'll do these monthly or how frequently, but I'm having fun with them right now. So if you're interested in seeing my face every single week, check out my Discipline Diary series that's posted every single Friday. A new one coming up this Friday. So you get 2 videos this week. And anyway, I'm gonna get back to folding this basket of clothes that I have right here and reading. I started a new book. My last Frida McFadden book, The Wife Upstairs. I mentioned it weeks ago and never ended up reading it when I mentioned it, but finally gonna read The Wife Upstairs. It's the last one of her psychological thrillers that I have not read, so I'm excited to get into that. I will see you when I see you. Toodles!